L to the fifth. What? Bye-bye.
Guess what time it is? It's time for my favorite section of 5D Journey, which I'm pretty sure we skipped last week. What can you do? 7 tidbits for you guys, how to move forward into a better consciousness of yourself, help to enlighten yourself along with the people around you. Number 1, we're improving them again, is set a boundary. Set your boundaries. Number 2, enforce them. The video coming up after this is going to dive deeper. There's 1 and 2. Number 3 is make sure you respect everyone in your life. Everything that happens to you for a reason. Respect, understand, process what it is about the situation that is trying to help you grow. Respect it. Number 4, and I've already done this before, but I'm still seeing it around the world and it needs to change. Drive with both hands. Do an experiment, okay? Take a corner, a turn, like a curve. Do it with one hand and pay attention to what happens inside your arms, okay? And then do the other hand, so you're pulling with one and pushing with another, and see the difference, and just go with that. There we are. Number 5 is drink plenty of water. If you do not drink plenty of water, do you know what happens? You become dehydrated. Not only physically, like the bigger things, but on a cellular level, you need water to process energy in your body. If you're not getting enough water, you are screwing yourself over and you are wasting your life. Drink water. Number 6, find a habit, something that you can do every single day that might just be for a minute, but find something in your life that is all about you, that is totally and completely selfishly self-centered, and make that time completely about you. It is okay. I've mentioned that in different videos before. It is okay to be selfish. In order to be selfless, you have to be selfish. They are the same coin, and you need both sides to operate fully. Number 7. This is where it's going to get a little crazy for some of you. Check the notification settings on your phone. How many times do you open your phone and you go to do something like send an email, and you see a red button, and you're like, oh, I should check that. And you close your phone and you don't get the email sent because you were distracted. Check your notification settings. There is nothing wrong with having the majority of your apps on non-notification settings mode, whatever. Turn them off. Turn them off. And then when you think about it, you know, and there's some that need to be on. I have certain things on because I need to be informed. You know, there are things that come to me that if I miss it, guess what? I missed something. Like Blackboard. Blackboard's turned on because if you don't get the notification there's no class today, then guess what? You get all the way there and there's nothing happening and you wasted your time. Certain things need to be left on, but most of them can be left off. There we are. 7 tidbits. Set a boundary. Bye. Because this journey is for everyone. We are all part of it. So, L to the 5th. So I would imagine the first question you probably have right now is, why is it so dark, Luke? What's going on? Well, I thought it would be fitting right now for this video. This video is going to be rather short. It's about less is more. And I first came across this concept, honestly, first time ever, like 2 years ago when I first started using essential oils, maybe 3 years ago. And somewhere in the middle of my essential oil usage in the last 2 or 3 years, I went on like a binge where I used tons and tons of oil, and at some point my body stopped processing it, and I wasn't getting the benefits anymore. And yeah, so it's really important that we remember that sometimes less is more. And the way I'm going to connect this to the 5D journey this week is, you know, it seems like on the 3rd dimensional plane, things that involve wealth and the house and our body and blah, and the 4th dimensional plane, which is time and trying to achieve it all, we're so limited on time, right? We have this essential desire to obtain wealth. And I was watching The Notebook, and the two main characters, Allie and Noah, are sitting at dinner with her family, and they're rich and he's poor. And one of the guests says to him, "So Noah, if you don't mind my asking, how much you make at your job?" And he says, "Well, about 40 cents an hour." The whole table just and he goes, "Yeah, I know it's not much, but I don't need a lot and I save most of it." And I thought to myself, there is something really interesting about that concept. Time is such a valuable thing. It's like I had this student's parent who had to cancel because she was sick one week and showed up the next week for her private lesson and paid me twice because she goes, "I know your time is valuable." And I just thought to myself, that is just so amazing because time is valuable. Time is so important. We have tons of it, yet we have very little of it in the grand scheme of things. And when it comes to less is more in the fifth dimensional journey, what I have decided is less is more. I know I just said the same thing, but for some reason saying is more, it's really true. How many times have I chased after something, like even like a new relationship, and all of a sudden because I like them, I want more and more and more, and I get real greedy of the time and the amount that I spend with them. And what usually happens is that scares them off because we come across too strong and they run away. And so, less. Do just enough to get an A. There's no need to go above and beyond. There are times that I'm sure that that's a respectable thing and whatnot. Everything has its place. More has its place here in the world. But as a general theme, less is more. Like right now in my house, this is the light that I have on. In the entire 1,100 square feet, I have this one little bead light on. And do you know why? Because I can see everything. There's no need to turn all the lights on and jack up my electric bill just because. And I have the money. I can afford to jack my electric bill up. I can afford all the expensive things that I don't need, but sometimes I just choose not to because less is more. And come here. And so she was staring at me like, "Can I come up there?" "Yes, you can. You can come up here." And so look at this. Look how little this kitten is. And she gives me all the loving. She's little. She's less. She's less. Here we are, guys. Less light is more Luke. So here we are. And this week, by request, I'm starting to take in a lot of requests. And actually, beyond the requests, I'm listening to what people are saying, which is important, hearing out the other voices inside of our heads. Because everyone out there, either way, has come into our head for us to process it, right? So their voices are inside of our heads. I've been asked to explain more about the fifth dimension, and I feel like I've been pretty clear. Some of my side comments, I don't directly say how things associate themselves to the fifth dimension because this is my 5D journey. So any topic that I bring up on this channel is about 5D. It's about my awareness and perspective of the fifth dimension in relationship to myself. Dimension 1 is a single speck. It's a singularity. In science, it's the point that everything was before it became a big boom. Singularity, single. It has no length, no width, no height. It's just single. Honestly, it's kind of hard for our human minds to fathom singularity because we're not singularity. We cannot be singularity. So it is what it is. Second dimension is length and width. That thing now spreads out. The pictures on top on this advertisement are two-dimensional. Even though the things in here are three-dimensional things, this is a two-dimensional picture. It doesn't have any depth. I mean, technically it has depth, but there's no depth. 3 dimensions is when we move into the z-plane. In science, we have the x-plane, the y-plane, and the z-plane. And our ability to move into the z-plane is what gives our body 3 dimensions. I believe firmly that this includes our mind. Our mind is a third-dimensional thing. I talked before about how the mind segregates things into a dualistic way. We see frugal, we see spending. Like those two things are opposite in our mind, but they're one coin. Right? If you look at a coin, it has two sides, heads and tails. And in the third dimension, when we're bisecting things into, is bisecting a word? It should be. When we're bisecting things into two planes, this and this, yes and no, good and bad, light and darkness, things can get a little dirty down there, because if you put the frugal person and the spend type person in the same room and have them talk about their ideals on money, they're not going to get along. They're not the same. They're separate things. Two individual items by themselves. And they don't get along because they don't have perspective on the fact that they both think each other's wrong. Which, if you both think each other's wrong, that's what you have in common. Therefore, you're both right. Anyway, moving into the fourth dimension is time. These thoughts that are moment by moment by moment, and these actions of movement happen in time. And all of those things are... There's nothing wrong with a third and fourth dimensional plane. I'm not saying if people stay down there, if they choose to be just frugal and choose to say the other person's wrong, nothing's wrong with them because they're part of the bigger picture. You know, we need the opposites to even have awareness that they are there. On the fifth dimensional plane, we look down at ourselves. I've mentioned being the gamer before. We look down at our individual thoughts happening in time and our movements and our expectations of what we think life is supposed to be. And we start not judging it or placing certain thoughts on it. You know, you're walking up the stairs. This happens to me all the time. Not this specific instance, but things just like this. You're walking up the stairs, you're in a hurry, you stub your toe. At that moment, we have two choices. To get very angry and be like, you mother effing toe, you're so painful, ah, right, anger. And then we have the thank you. Thank you for running into me stare. I appreciate you so much. You are so good. Light and darkness. That's still segregated. It's when we can look down at all the thoughts we've made in our life and all the thoughts we're gonna make and not categorize them. Just look at them and say, those are just my thoughts. They're not wrong, they're not right. I wasn't a bad person when I used to cuss a lot, and I'm not a good person now that I don't cuss. They're just choices. They're just choices. And it's kind of like the bad things happen to us to teach us the way to the good. So we need the bad to get to the good. So labeling it wrong, it doesn't really make sense because we needed it. And even that thought I just had, like right now, that thought is still, by me saying it's not wrong, and they're both right, I'm still segregating into right and wrong, one and negative one. The zero holds both the one and the negative one together. You know, this is probably something really spacey, and like, there is no way to describe it. What I'm trying to tell people with my message here on YouTube is that it's all okay. Life's okay. Life just is. Another story, because I love stories and analogies, and some people think that by using analogies you're being cheap and unintellectual, but that's just how I get to people, because not all things make sense to everyone the way you say them. That's not a thing. You can't say one thing and make sense to everybody listening. It's not going to work. But when Moses is up on Mount Sinai and God speaks to him in the burning bush, he says, "Who are you?" And God, who's definitely a dimension above 3 and 4, and anyway, that could go deep into that too. God says, "I am that I am." And I remember the first time I heard that, I was like, what? Like, that doesn't even make sense. And then over years of careful thought about it, God says, "I am that I am," because God is the answer to that question, as much as he is the question himself. The fifth dimension, when you're sitting there in that fifth dimensional plane and you're, as the gamer, looking down at everything, you realize, my timer's about to go off for my food, so I'm gonna have to end this 7-minute, 30-second video. You realize that life just is.
Life just is.
Life just is.
Life just is.
If something good or bad happens to you, it doesn't really matter because it's part of your life. Your life is here for you. Every person, every interaction, everything you see was created for you. And if something was created for me, what I find myself doing is extreme gratitude that it even showed up. And it might be painful. It might be ugly. But it's for you. It's your life. And the fifth dimension is about going up to the highest sense of you. There's more dimensions. This is not anything weird or metaphysical. Like, this is just a plain scientific way of dividing our consciousness into existence. There's two sides, good and bad, and then there's just being. Being a human being is someone who accepts everything that happens to them no matter what. And having reverence and gratitude for everything that shows up. That's what being a human being is about. Having gratitude. Giving thanks. This alarm is going off and I'm supposed to go turn it off, but honestly, give thanks for everything in your life, guys. Like, that's what life's here for. Be thankful that you had the opportunity to experience this duality. Because before, when everyone was up in heaven and everyone was happy, God didn't really know what love was that was given to him. All the love was about something he created. Everything just was love. And when he gave the angels the option, which I fully believe we are angels that are fallen. We are fallen angels. He gave us the ability to go down and then choose to love him. And it's only through us looking at the two sides that we can choose love and choose reverence and choose gratitude and then not be ashamed or disgusted by the ungrateful thoughts of our past. They led us to here. It's just so funny. And I genuinely believe that in the end, we all go back to the light, if that's even a thing, if there is light and darkness, if there is heaven and hell. We all return back to source. And source just is. It's not good or bad. It's just source. It's God. It's where our power and our love comes from. Wow, this video is long. And that thing is going off because I'm on a thing right now. So I hope you're enjoying that because it's happening in this video. Accept it for what it is. I'm being myself for you. And a guy, what are you doing? I'm sure I probably look tired. I literally worked 9 hours today, and it was such a good day at work. Great day. Good stuff happened, bad stuff happened. It was all work. It was wonderful. I love my job. I am that I am. Lucas is that he is.